This is a Show People podcast trigger warning. Throughout this episode, we discuss some issues that some of our listeners may find upsetting. These issues include discussions surrounding abortion, mental health issues, and abuse at childhood. If you find yourself becoming affected by the issues discussed on the Show People podcast, please stop listening to the episode and please contact an organisation or someone that you rely upon for support. Thank you. Hello company and welcome to Show People, the podcast that shines a spotlight on the UK performing arts industry and those dedicated to their craft, covering the latest news and issues, what to see and do, showcasing theatrical talent and of course always trying to inform, educate and entertain. My name is Andrew Keats, I'm a director and your host. Now today's guest is both a respected musical theatre performer and a late night cabaret artiste. She's travelled the world in many West End productions including large scale musicals such as Daddy Cool, Hair, Dancing in the Streets, The Life, Bad Out of Hell and Little Shop of Horrors, as well as some of the finest tiny cabaret venues in London. Please welcome to the stage Miss Rosalind James!
Hiya!
And the crowd went wild. Coming up on today's show, I'll share one of my act hacks. On the platform, we have a song from a musical soon to be performed by Miss Rosalind James. And of course, I'll be interviewing Ros all about her life, career, and setting her some infamous Show People podcast challenges too. You are listening to the Show People podcast with Andrew Keats and Rosalind James. Rosalind James.
Hi, Mr. Andrew Keats.
So, listeners, those who know Rosalind's work, Rosalind and I have been friends for far too many years, and I've been asking you to do this for about 3 years, and finally you've managed to find some time to come and see me.
Yeah, just about. Again, obviously for you, always.
Always. What's rather lovely is obviously this is going out this weekend during World AIDS Day.
Yeah.
And actually it's rather nice for a change that it's not me banging on about HIV and AIDS today. Tell us a little bit about Stigma.
So, about, say, 5 years ago, it probably started a little bit before that, but about 5 years ago, I started kind of working on a song. I had met a gentleman about 10 years ago who had contracted HIV through his partner, and I couldn't understand why he would still want to be with someone who had given it to him knowingly. So I wanted to understand the fact about love and just that in general. So I kind of went on a mission. I thought I'd write a song about the feeling of love and about their relationship. But then it's taken me on to finding more information about HIV and an understanding for myself. As I said, when I had met this gentleman, I didn't know too much about it myself. So I was over, I think, in Germany somewhere. And I was there with my daughter, who's now 7.
Don't say that. I remember when she was born. Good Lord.
My little munchkin, 7 going on 40. And I remember being in his flat and kind of going, obviously, he told me he'd contracted it. And I was like, okay, cool. But I didn't have an understanding of what HIV actually was.
Yeah.
So I was there with my daughter and I was like, can I use the towel? Do I have to? Do you know what I mean? As I said, for me, I kind of wanted to write something to help and educate the younger generation today. And for me, myself, to get a better understanding and research for myself to understand more about it.
Yeah.
And so, I've been on quite a journey, soul-searching journey for myself. And as obviously over the years, I've obviously seen that through friends, very close friends, who have obviously, when I started to begin this journey and write this piece, that didn't have HIV.
So you've written a essentially a brand new musical, or you've got the bare bones of a brand new musical that you're presenting. Where is it happening? How can people get tickets?
So I'm showcasing some of the songs at the Proud Embankment.
Great.
On the 2nd of December. It starts at 7:30 and it finishes about 10:30. Obviously, you can stay there and party until the end. But as I said, it's a couple of hours. And
it's a wicked venue. Like, the venue looks amazing.
A beautiful venue. Maybe too big for what I'm doing, but I kind of go, I just wanted to explore it in a venue of that size, instead of it being a theatre, to see how I could explore it in that way. And obviously, because I'm mainly writing, doing the writing of the songs. I do have 2 writers involved for script. I have an idea of what the script will be in my head. I've always kind of had that. But these writers, one is actually someone who I worked with on Les Mis.
Right.
And he's actually gone back in it now, Mr. Robert Madge, sending my love out to him. And so we'd spoken to, he was actually Gavroche when I did Les Mis.
No way.
So it's kind of scary because I'm like, oh my God, you're an adult now. And now you're back in the show. So, but yeah, what that boy has done over the years since I've known him, since obviously, as I said, when I did Les Mis, he's produced, he's written his own stuff, and that boy's mind is something that I want to explore as also someone being gay. So I kind of was like, you can bring the younger generation's views into it and see that side of it. And then I have someone also who has kind of been involved on the film side of stuff. So basically I played in one of my songs after we went to watch someone's showcase of their show. And he was just like, what is this? And I was like, it's just my song for my show. It's like the first song I ever wrote, and it's actually called Words. And he was like, I want in. I was like, okay, fine.
It's a nice thing to be told.
Yeah. And he was like, what's it about? Explained to him about the AIDS epidemic. And it's set in the 80s, but obviously late 70s, do you know what I mean, through the AIDS epidemic.
What I love, though, Ros, is that you've taken your own ignorance from the past.
Completely.
And approached this very much from the position as somebody, who has taken the time to learn about the struggles of the 80s and the 90s, and indeed where we are today. And it's not theatre and education, but you've taken, for anybody that's open-minded enough to go, what was that struggle like, and crafted this brand new piece of new musical theatre.
Yeah, I just think I wanted to get a better understanding for myself and to educate others with it. And I think when I was a child, obviously in the 90s, and I was, I think the first show I was doing was Oliver. And I remember a gentleman who was in the show, couldn't wait to hang out with him every time I'd come into work. And to be honest, as soon as I found out it was gay, I'd stayed away from him.
Yeah,
and I was 13.
Yeah.
And I can't even it wasn't to do with my family at all. My dad never had those views, never made me feel that way. It was society in that respect. But I can't tell you exactly what it was. That was just the way it was.
Yeah.
I think across the years, obviously it's getting a better understanding. And I just hope with this show, I can educate to that people have an opinion, but it can be changed.
Yeah.
And we are all brought up in a certain manner, in a certain way, and a certain mindset. And some things take longer than others. And
what's lovely, I mean, you've called the show Stigma. And of course, when we talk about your career and your experiences in your career, you're someone who understands what it's like when people have an opinion of you, which is not based in fact at all. Yeah. It's based upon what society says or what the industry says. It's based on rumours. And obviously now today we have social media, so everything follows round a lot quicker. I just think, as I said, I hope to educate myself even more. I still don't know all the information. I'm still gathering information to produce and write this show. I'm still learning so much. But I hope that in the end, I can, as I said, educate a lot more people. And on top of that, you are a stunning songwriter, and I wouldn't say that unless I believed it. Thank you. You're a fabulous songwriter. It's a piece of brand new musical theatre. I will be there. I can't wait. Helping out with a few bits and pieces in backstage, no doubt. But yeah, please do grab your tickets. What I'll do is I'll put a link to the ticket booking website.
Amazing. I appreciate that.
On the show notes. And you'll be seeing lots of tweets from both show people.
But I think, as I said, I'm looking to educate and just open up people's voices. I don't think we talk enough, and we judge people too much on their opinions, and opinions can be changed.
And not only that, I understand that you are donating all the profits from this current performance to the Elton John AIDS Foundation. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So folks, please come and support. It's supporting a great cause, a brand new musical theatre writer, a stunning artist, and I think a subject matter that we should all be talking about.
Hi, Ollie Saville here, and the trouble with schools is they never listen to the Show People podcast with Andrew Keats, who's an absolute legend, by the way.
So let's start at the very beginning.
Okay. Sorry.
A very good place to start. What was a teeny tiny Rosalind James like?
Teeny tiny Rosalind. I was actually very quiet, but I was very comfortable with who I was. I didn't care at that time what anyone thought. But my dad started to teach me to sing when I was about 4.
Wow.
So...
what kind of music?
Well, he said that he remembers hearing me sing Stevie Wonder's I Just Called Say I Love You. So it was like, oh, she can sing. So my dad used to be a singer in a pub and stuff like that. So he would write songs. So he wrote a few songs. He wrote an album. A record for me. So we made a record. I think he got like 10,000 copies.
Well, I know what they look like, as if you think back to when we first met.
Yeah. So now
I remember a dressing room filled with them.
Yes, when I did that. Yeah, I can vaguely remember that.
Rosalind and I produced an evening with Ros James, and every audience member got a free single.
My dad's suggestion.
It was a great idea. I think I've probably still got one under my bed somewhere.
But yeah, so we obviously he made them, and we sold them for children in need.
Yeah.
And so yeah, obviously I can't to this day remember how much money I raised, but obviously he wrote this song about him, a song called The Song for Daddy and The Mother's Story. And as I said, we sold that, and that was great. And obviously he wrote a load of songs, and I'd go to gigs or with him and sing. I remember I used to go to Cutty Sark and actually sing outside Cutty Sark as well. Raise a bit of money. So yeah, that was fun times. But no, I had great time singing with my dad.
There are some musical theatre performers that when I think of them, I only think of a very musical theatre sound. But when I think of you, I think of soul. I think of jazz. I think of, your perform. I think of really contemporary pop. You have such a visceral connection to the music that you sing. I'm interested to know who were those artists you were listening to when you were little, either through your dad or the gigs you were going to or the radio or what else?
So I think my dad never listened to a lot of Motown, but obviously it was around. So I listened to a lot of country.
Yeah. So
I knew so many country songs, and probably folk. Folk and country was the main thing that he obviously made me listen to. But then myself, I loved Doris Day and I loved Judy Garland. So for me, that was my thing. But yeah, obviously you have the certain musical theatre films obviously as well. So I loved Annie and I loved Oliver.
Tell me about the very first time you ever stepped into a theatre.
Do you know what's really scary?
Go on.
I'm almost trying to vaguely remember. Do you know what I mean? And I'm kind of going, did I go? I probably went and watched something when I was a lot younger.
Yeah.
But my life had so much kind of going on. To be honest, right now, I can't remember. But the first show I do remember watching was Fame.
Really?
At the Victoria Apollo.
Right.
I think it was. And I had a couple of school friends in it.
Yeah.
But obviously I think I saw that and I saw Bugsy Malone but I think, as I said, for me, Oliver, the film, was my obsession. And then I finally got an opportunity to do the show when I started Sylvia Young Theatre School. So I used to go to a local dance school and yeah, obviously was dancing there, and she said, oh, why don't you audition for drama school? And I was like, okay, well, I'll see how, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever, I'll see how that goes. auditioned and got a full scholarship.
Wow.
So I was like, great. It was like, can you start a term early? And I was like, okay, cool.
How old would you have been then, Ros?
11.
11.
So, and I was like, great. And I had a few, I had a few jobs before I'd even actually officially started the school.
What were they?
A couple of voiceovers, might have been Barbie or Cindy. Sorry, I'm probably not supposed to say that, but Barbie or Cindy. Obviously, I think later throughout the years, I did a lot of voiceovers, Polly in My Pocket, the whole shebang.
Were you Polly Pocket?
I did Polly in My Pocket. I did Pony in My Pocket.
Are you kidding me?
I did Baby Checkup. Baby Checkup was me. And that was my favourite one.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, Rosalind, I've known you for many, many years, but forevermore I will call you Polly Pocket now. My God, how cool is that?
Polly in My
Rosalind
Pocket.
James was Polly in My Pocket.
Polly in my pocket, as cute as can be.
Is that you?
I could take you all home with me.
Is that really you?
No, that was the older ladies. But I did the dialogue. But yeah.
What was Sylvia's like at that time? Because I've had quite a lot of people on who have trained at Sylvia's, and I've heard wonderful stories from Francis, who's obviously Sylvia's daughter, and Johnny Barr, and do check out those previous episodes. And they tell me stories like, because they were the first class.
Yeah.
Being in Sylvia's lounge where a rug would be put down and they would be acting in the lounge. In those early days. What was the school like when you were there? It's
one of the best experiences of my life, and even to this day. The people who were in the school at that time, because we only had like 25 to 30 kids per class, which was per year. Do you know what I mean? So there was only 150 kids in the school, so we all knew each other. There was no prejudice.
Yeah.
There was no, do you know what I mean? No issues. Everyone got along, no matter if you were the best singer, the worst singer, do you know what I mean? The best dancer, whatever. It didn't matter. We all encouraged each other to be better. So even if we see those people now, today, there's love. Do you know what I mean? And some of those people aren't in the industry, which is, to be honest, a shame, because some of them were great actors.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they didn't get that opportunity to further their career. But as I said, there is still love there. And when we all, do you know what I mean, join for a reunion or a party or someone's birthday, it's just like, it feels like it's yesterday.
Yeah.
So for me, one of the best experiences, I mean, when I first started, I did get bullied just because I was different. I was different, but we were all different. Do you know what I mean? We were all individuals. It was only until I got to secondary school that I had that form of bullying. It was addressed very early. And then I continued on at the school and had no other issues. Not within the school anyway. But generally in my life, I'd had a lot of things going on from a very young age.
Are you happy to talk about any of them? What were some of the things?
I'm fine to talk about it. So from the age of 7, I was abused by my uncle.
Yeah.
And so for me, when I did Oliver, and obviously I'd auditioned for the show and got in as I said, it was like ensemble kid. So I was like, great. And then there was an opportunity for us to, they were given to the ensemble kid girls the opportunity to be Bet in the show. So I was like, okay, fine. Jeff Garrett was like, Ros, come on, you can do it. I was like, okay. I was there 13 at the time. But all through the years of me first starting at Sylvia's, this was still happening. But obviously no one knew about it. And Oliver actually gave me the courage to tell him to beep off. And I'm so thankful for that opportunity that I was given by Cameron and everyone in that show. And I don't think if I had have got Bet, I would have been able to do that, because she was such a feisty character.
Wow.
So it's strange how things land on your lap for whatever reason that give you an opportunity to.
Have you been able to reconcile what I'm sure anybody listening to this now would call such an impossible situation? Have you been able to make peace with that somehow? And has there been any justice for you?
For me, I have come to peace with it, because I mean, everyone will feel differently. Everyone has a different view, and everyone will deal with situations differently. I believe my uncle was very mentally ill.
Right.
I don't think he had enough support when his mother passed away. Grief does a lot of things to people.
Yeah.
I don't hate him. I don't blame him. It's something that happens. And if I continue living my life hating him, which I don't, and I haven't done for a long time, then I'm always gonna struggle to get on with my life. I had to kind of find a way to let it go. And as I said, I let that go recently, but it did come up again this year. So this year has been a major struggle because I vowed never to let my dad know about it. And that happened this year. So it's been a massive struggle.
I understand. So you can stop if you want to, Donna. What did your dad say to you, mate? And if there's anything, I'll say to you now as well, if there's anything you don't want me to include.
It's fine, don't I? As parents do, they go into denial.
Yeah, of course.
So I think my dad's struggling with that fact because, as I said, I was a child that was quiet.
Yeah.
But I got on with it. And so because over the years I've always done that, it's played a massive effect in my career because everyone generally is, I'm okay.
Yeah.
So because I have, and for me this year I got to a point where I went, I'm not okay. I'm done.
Do you think, Ros, because you as an actor, you put yourself in front of thousands of people on a nightly basis, and you hear that overture start, or you get this call, and it doesn't matter what's going on for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, you suspend, and then you go, and then you've got that awful thing that then you come off stage after the bow, and then you're left with yourself again, and that dichotomy must be so hard. And
it's like being on stage is my outlet. Yeah. It's my outlet. It's my moment to just forget or get out how I feel.
Yeah. And your music. I mean, I always hear it in your music. Like I said, I wasn't just doing PR bullshit when I said, your connection to music is visceral. Like I never ever want to justify abuse ever. But you telling me this today really helps me understand why you're able to connect to such impossible, concepts and consequences in your music.
I think that's just one thing that I've been through in my life, but generally everything I've always utilized that, how can I say, emotion, pain, and try to use it in my songs or performing in some way. So yeah, it's always been deep down in me, and I think over the years I've put things down, keep putting them down. And it just got to a point this year when I kind of went, I can't now, like there's no more space. Yeah. There's no more space. And because of that, I kind of let it all out this year, which working its way out of my body in that sense, left a lot of it within my voice, within my throat. So to be honest, most of this year, I've not been able to sing to what I know my capabilities are.
How disabling that must feel as an artist to not have your instrument. That must be impossible to cope with.
But like I obviously said before, I'd obviously experienced that before, and it broke me massively in my life and the relationship I was in at the time. But this happening this time, what it did was help me embrace the fact that I've had over the years everyone go, Ros, the voice. And I felt like, am I just the voice? Am I just not me?
I mean, you and I as friends have spoken about this, and I mean, you told me about this years ago, and it obviously really upset me as your friend. But so specifically, we're talking about, which is the very happy thing that you were, and I'll put the F-bomb, what a fucking great thing you were, the very first black Eponine in some tiny show called Les Miserables. I don't know if it's still running nowadays.
I think it's babes.
But, as a relatively young woman, But your experience of playing that role and what was asked of you affected your voice in a very long-term way. Are you happy to talk about that?
Les Mis is so interesting because I look back on it now and I see the part that I had done, and like you said, being the first Black Eponine.
Are you proud of that, Ros?
I am, but it took me a while to realise it. Maybe a good 9-10 years.
How old were you when you played?
We're talking obviously 10 years ago now. So I'm 37 now. So to be honest, when I auditioned for it, I had sung the song from Ragtime, and it was the first time I'd actually sung the song that I'd actually had split my vocal cord, or the job.
Was that Daddy's Son?
Yeah. And to be honest, I don't think it was Your Daddy's Son that I was singing when it split. I think they were making me warm up doing Shadowlands. And I'd been ill during the auditions for Ragtime. And I was actually only in for ensemble. But obviously they'd seen something else that they liked. They were like, audition for Sarah. I was like, okay, great. I had the flu. I was like, okay, great. Fine. Sung it. Great. And then something just, I think, also nervousness, do you know what I mean? Anxiety, things that I didn't really register with at that young age of 21. They basically, obviously, put me in a room with this guy. I basically had the fear one day, being in the room, we had to do a run through, and there was, I think, 25, 30 people, maybe more. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, my voice is not fully. And I think it was a nervousness. So because they thought I couldn't sing it, they put me in a room with someone who made me sing it over and over and over and over and over again, not thinking about where my voice was at, being tired. And I actually remember someone saying to me, this person was taught by Mary Hammond, but if Mary Hammond had taught me, then Mary Hammond would have realised herself that my voice was not in the fit state to use. So she wouldn't have actually put me through. And I remember doing 2 exercises.
Go on.
Cackle like a witch and quack like a duck. And I remember cackling and hearing something go snap. Oh. And next minute I had no voice. And they're like, you got laryngitis. I was like, I haven't. My voice was here. Laryngitis. If I'd gone to sleep tonight, then I probably would have realised that. But for me to instantly, that was something more serious.
But to hear you say that as a joke then clearly shows just how deeply that must have terrified you. Like, because I can see your defense mechanism kicking in now, going, laugh, because I don't want to go back to that the way I felt that day.
It was probably one of the worst times in my life because I loved singing. Yeah, singing was my everything at that point. At 2021, all I wanted to do was sing. In what aspect, I didn't know, whether that was on stage or do you know what I mean, film or a recording artist, or do you know what I mean, a girl group. I didn't know, but I just wanted to sing. So that being taken away from me was the worst. I thought, as I said, I thought that's all I was.
And also, but you're also a young woman who, you know, admittedly, there's a few credits we've gone over here, but we've got things like, obviously you were in Whistle Down the Wind, in 2 different productions. First, You did the original production of Whistle Down the Wind, I'm right in thinking?
Yep.
You also did things like the Jesus Christ Superstar tour. You were Soul Girl in 2001. Yeah. Released the Beat at the Arcola Theatre. We'll go over that one. And, you know, you were in Daddy Cool, both swinging cover, ensemble cover, and you played Rose and Sandra. I mean, it seems like you played the whole cast, actually, from the looks of the CV.
Oh, I did. In a very short space of time.
But, you know, like you've got all of these fantastic fantastic shows, but obviously as a young woman you're given this iconic role based upon talent, so much so that it sets the precedent of being the first Black, and I think that's a major deal, mate. I'm so proud of you of that. And then you have this utterly disabling thing. Now I know you feel that because all problems with the voice in that way that perhaps casting directors unfairly would say, oh, but is the voice reliable? I know that
I've had that constantly since I was 21. Since
that happened,
Since I was 21, that's constantly happened. So even when, as I said, I got to doing Les Mis, my audition was great. I had a lot of things going on then. But I got on with the job. And due to the stress in my life. I remember sometimes we do obviously it was, I think we get to a new venue, so we'd just have sound check, and I would have nothing, no voice, croak, and they'd all go, is she going to be able to sing? Is she gonna? But it's like Dr. Theatre. It comes back to the show. I'm like, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
To be honest, the older I've got, it's now been like, Ros, you need to do warm-ups now because your voice don't come back as easily as that. But I think that job was a massive... You hit milestones in your life, and that was a milestone for me in my life. And I think it was the reoccurrence, obviously, with the whole stuff with my uncle as well. So, so when I auditioned for Les Mis, I was pregnant, and I was in a very emotionally and mentally abusive relationship. Yeah. And for many reasons, didn't know if I was ready to have a child. So during the whole audition process, I was pregnant.
Yeah.
I didn't find out, obviously, until I think it was the final or the pre-final. That might have been the final. And I remember being sick in the taxi on the way to the final. Just got to get on with it. I don't know what's going to happen. I was so not with it. And I remember actually getting home that evening to my partner and just saying, don't know what's going to happen. He was like, don't worry. Do you know what I mean? Well, he's like, if you, do you know what I mean? If you get the job, then obviously we know what you're going to do. And do you know what I mean? But if not, then do you know what I mean? Like, you can get placed and I'll come and visit you. And I thought that was really weird. And I thought, what is this relationship that I'm actually in? This makes no sense. But like I said, at the same time, I was not ready. So to have a child, I got the job, which was amazing. But I was still troubled by, during the whole process, up until before we're opening, that's me going through the process of having an abortion. Yeah. No judgment, please. And that was hard, because to go into a new job, having this weight on me, but not just that weight of that experience, also the weight of a relationship that I haven't got that support, walking into a job where I'm now going to be like singing on my own, pretending he's beside me.
Of course.
It was hard. So mentally, I was not in a great place at all for that whole experience of that job from day dot.
What's fascinating, and I'm not going to include hair in this, but what's fascinating is it seems that a lot of the jobs in your career have, in a sort of dramatic irony sense, have almost been reflective of where you are in your life, whether that be, you know, the need for the feistiness in bed to the sort of the thoughtfulness of Eponine. It's interesting that what is happening off stage is very much happening on stage at the same time.
Hair was an amazing experience, like one of the best jobs. Thank you, Gary Lloyd. Do you know what I mean? Like one of the best jobs I've ever done. And every time I do that job, it literally is so liberating. And I say to everyone, if you get an opportunity to do hair, do it.
I'm Alistair Brammer, and you're listening to the Show People podcast with Andrew Keats, a man with the hairdo of a children's TV presenter and the drinks cabinet of an elderly Broadway diva.
It's time for an act hack. Little things you can do for your life and career. Many of you will be aware that this weekend is Black Friday and we have the impending Cyber Monday. Now, you can absolutely snap yourself up a bargain. However, if you are using sites such as Amazon, I'm going to recommend you visit two websites. The first is Camel. And what it'll do is it'll show you the cost of an item over the past few years. Quite often, what these websites will do is they will hike the price up and make it appear that you're getting a much better deal than you necessarily are. A good way to check other deals on the internet is a fabulous app called Price Spy. What that'll do is it'll search lots and lots of different companies and it'll make sure that you really are getting a bargain this Christmas. And finally, don't forget, most of us are self-employed. We all love to give gifts, but if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. And there's no shame in that. Our industry is very tough. You won't have a single relative or loved one that is going to want to see you in debt this Christmas. If you're struggling, tell them. I promise they'll understand.
This is Liam Tamney, and you're listening to the Show People podcast with Andrew Keats. I see you shiver with anticipation.
So you've done 2 productions of Hair.
Yes.
You did a production of the English Theatre Frankfurt.
Yes.
And then it's really lovely looking at shortly after doing a very good production of Ragtime, which we'll talk about in a moment. Then you also did Gary Lloyd's European tour production of Hair. How liberating is that show?
It's an experience. It's Gary Lloyd picked a wonderful group of people who all had their own issues. That it didn't matter. We were all there. It literally was love. Do you know what I mean? And he made sure that every single one of us felt comfortable to the point of getting naked. And it's not something that I would choose to do in a show. As I said, obviously, I did Hair before in Frankfurt. We didn't have to get naked then. But like I said, Gary Lloyd's Hair was an experience. I remember we did it in a 14,000 seater arena in Rotterdam, and I was like, why are there cameras? There's cameras everywhere. So I was like, I made sure, I think I had an initial plan, I'm going to get the longest hair, longest weave possible. Used to call her Bushra. Yeah. Second time it's called Bushra 2. Yeah. So I was like, longest so it will cover, do you know what I mean, as much as it could. And yeah, like I said, it was, I remember it used to be a fight. At one point, I can't remember what venue we were at, to get naked, because obviously we'd had so many pieces of clothing to take off, and it was like, well, the first one that's, do you know what I mean, if they're standing that's not naked, everyone's going to be looking at. Yeah. So it was actually a rush to get naked. But no, a wonderful group of people that I met on that job, and one gentleman especially, James Gibbs, he's actually godfather to my daughter, and I couldn't live without him. He's a wonderful, wonderful gentleman, a wonderful godfather.
So, Ross, just to ask again, because obviously the majority of people who listen to this are actors. It's very easy, isn't it, for a performer to think, oh, they don't like me, they won't see me. But actually, you have, either through work on the Fringe, either through work in cabaret venues, either through your own work, whether it be touring the world, whether it be working in London, you have ensured that even with the obstacles that have been faced in front of you, that you have clawed your way to go, no, this is where I am now as an artist. And, you know,
I think...
Do you think it's fair to say that you can change the opinion of people, and that you've grown as an artist, and that... I
think you can. To be honest, I still think I'm finding my way, because people still have judgments, because people still do have opinions, and they listen to other people instead of asking people. And I think, for me, reverting back to Les Mis, I would like people to realise that what I went through that time was hard.
Yeah.
And we all talk about mental health today, but no one realised it at that time, what I was experiencing. And like I said, it was very, very, very hard time for me.
Do you think, the age that you are now, do you think there would have been people that you could have spoken to, or do you think it was this shyness that was so crippling for you, or did you just feel like you weren't in a company or had someone to reach out to give you the support you needed?
I think that mental health today is more aware. Do you know what I mean? There's more awareness to it than it was back then. And what's interesting, a lot of people that say they are suffering from mental health now are some of the people that I actually worked with.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't have support.
Yeah.
Because it's the stigma, misunderstanding against mental health. And I think at that time I didn't know that I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that was at for me. And it was, like I said, it was a very, very pinnacle point in my life.
Can I ask as well, because no doubt there's going to be people listening to this who perhaps have had similar experiences, who are perhaps in a similar boat. For anybody that is listening to this and going, I've been there or I've had similar things. What advice can you give?
I think you just have to be honest with yourself and understand that it's okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's taken me a hell of a long time to realise that. And I said a lot of it for me has come out this year where I've gone, everyone has thought, oh, it's Ros, she's fine, she's happy, she's in a day, she's all right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm not, guys.
Yeah.
And I think everyone kind of realised that this year where I went, I'm not okay. I'm not.
Yeah.
Which have been great, that people have understood more. I mean, it's taken its time. And so I'll revert back to Les Mis. I wish I had appreciated my Paris experience more because it's a beautiful, do you know what I mean? It's a beautiful place. But that was probably like one of the hardest struggles during that time. And I actually remember there was a certain week before I was like, please let me go home.
Yeah.
I actually want to go home. Do you know what I mean? And I remember going on stage, physically crying, rocking, going on stage, singing, coming off stage, physically being sick.
Yeah.
Going on stage again, coming off physically being sick, come to the interval and I'm there and I'm just crying, I'm sobbing.
Yeah.
And I say I hope things are different now, that if anyone is in that state, that I think for me at that time it was wrong with someone going, do you want to go home? Are you sure? I have no effing clue.
No. Give me some guidance.
Like, someone help me instead of asking me, do you want to go home? I really don't know, because all I know, the only way I know to function is to go on stage and sing. But when I'm off, I'm not here right now.
I think a massive obstacle as well, and people need to remember things like this when they go to the polling station soon, is as somebody that I had therapy when I was diagnosed with HIV, because getting the HIV was actually not the problem. The problem was working out why I put myself in situations to get HIV.
Yeah.
But one of the most useful things I had was therapy. But therapy's a bloody expensive thing. And I know too many actors that can barely pay their bills to do the weekly shop, let alone find, 30, 40, 50 quid a week to go and have half an hour's worth of therapy. Is there anything else that any actors that are struggling with their mental health that you found useful to you that doesn't involve having to spend a fortune?
I think everybody's struggle is different and everybody's method to help themselves is different.
Yeah.
And I think at the time I'd spent many years finding a way to not go to a counsellor, because partly I was stubborn and I didn't want to take any medication, because I was like, I don't want to physically put something that was going to change my chemical balance. And if there is a form of taking yoga or doing something and changing my mindset, that was what my plan was, change my mindset.
Yeah.
And then I think through performing, through musical theatre, through singing, I was able to, how can I say, sustain myself to a certain level. But then it got to a point where, like I said, this year, there was no more.
Yeah.
But I would say this, talk it out to your close ones, your friends. There's always someone there who will listen. But yeah, I think I even wrote some lyrics, which was like, end of the day, do you know what I mean? Like, don't hesitate to call me. Do you know what I mean? Whenever you want me, whenever you need me, don't hesitate to call me. Yeah. And I think that generally it's the case for, we all feel that way about our friends and our loved ones. I had suicide, someone, a close family friend at quite a young age, and I, to be honest, didn't understand it at all. Have I wanted to myself? Yes. Yeah. Have I tried? Yes. I even have dates written down in my iPad before I had my daughter, that I had a date and I found out I was pregnant. She saved my life.
Hello, this is Kim Ismay, and you're listening to the Show People podcast with Andrew Keats, and I hope you're having a wickedly interesting time.
It's interesting, and I remember you telling me the story about the production of Ragtime at the Piccadilly. Mm-hmm. You played Sarah in what I would say was the Landor's heyday. Mm-hmm. It really was. Sadly, it's no longer there, and I pop in for
times, man.
I have popped in for a pint a couple of times. And there's still some staff members, and I go in and I look, and I believe it's now. I think they do little comedy nights and things like that. But it does kill me because those walls are filled, and you are, vehemently part of the emotion that theatre contained over the years that I was there, and certainly the years before. The
fact that we fit so many people.
Well, this is what I was going to say. The Landor Theatre, for anybody going, what is the Landor? The Landor Theatre was a 70-seat theatre in Clapham North / Stockwell.
How many in the cast?
And, well, this is the thing. Good grief. We managed to get the rights. It was John Webb Carter, who I've just worked with on Dark Sublime. We came back together.
Carter.
John Webb Carter. He listens to this, and John, bloody hell, I love that boy.
Just got married recently.
He's just got married, and he does his photography, and he's producing. And he's still a wunderkind. But this is not about John Webb Carter, and as I haven't asked him on the podcast, maybe I will when I get really desperate. But you played Sarah in Ragtime, and you were phenomenal. I mean, you were phenomenal, and I that's not just again smoke up your ass. That is, you doing Daddy's Son was that moment. I will never forget you singing. Singing that line, I buried my heart in the ground. And to know the backdrop and the context of everything you've been through in a way that I didn't know as much detail as I do now, no wonder it was so imbued. And I thought, for somebody that had played Eponine, who is, had seen the world as a musical theatre performer, and here you are in a little room above a pub, almost reconciling your relationship with that show. And not only that, but a little baby that would occasionally be brought up for the end of Act 2, which I'll let you tell the story. And there is, and I think, and the Fringe has changed a great deal from, I think, the Fringe that we belong to, and our ethos of why we were doing it. But just tell me your memories of Ragtime and what it was like to revisit a show that clearly perhaps was not a happy memory, but to be able to fulfill and play that role. And I say 100% played exquisitely. I mean, mate, you did.
I think for me, I had to do that job.
Yeah.
When I actually got the opportunity to do it again, it was a blessing. A blessing I needed in my life. An opportunity to do what I wanted to do with it before. And I believe that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have given what I could have given the part before what I gave it at Landor.
Yeah.
Because of my life experiences. So for me, it was like, as I said, I had to do that job knowing that I didn't get an opportunity with Split My Vocal Cord and my name being on the poster and all those things. So then getting an opportunity to do it at the Landor, and I was like, yes. And I remember actually obviously coming in for the meeting, and I was like, grand, sung it. And I was like, cool, I sung it, it's cool. Let's do the job in. And then obviously got the job, and then you were looking for a co-house, and I was like, I know the perfect person. Kurt Gandy, I love you.
And I'll let you into a little secret. In fact, anybody that's listening, so Kurt is going to be one of my guests in the next. He's coming around next week for me to record Kurt. So it's a bit of a Landor love up. And anybody, if you go back and listen to one of our earliest episodes with John Barr, who was also in that production.
Yeah, he was in the Piccadilly production and Landor. So that actually I think was lovely as well, because to be honest, I had an opinion about John Barr.
Yeah.
And he was with my agent at the time. And obviously he probably doesn't know this. Sorry, John. Because of the industry, rumours and all sorts. And as I said, when I split my vocal cord while during the Piccadilly version, I was told that John Barr was a person that had an opinion about me not being there. I didn't speak to him at the time. I was young.
Yeah.
So for years I carried that weight. So it was actually nice to work with him in a job and go, oh, actually, you don't hate me. You don't dislike me. I'm sorry, where did I hear this from? And like I said, it just shows you how much someone can say something and it be twisted or turned an opinion. And like I said, I love you, John Barr, always. I know you have so much love for me. But yeah, that's what this kind of industry does sometimes.
I've been in situations where you hear somebody say, why she got first cover? And then I've left nights out because a group of actors have, for some reason or another, have jumped on the bandwagon of talking about somebody else rather than talking about what is great, who is wonderful, great experiences that they've had. Do you know what I mean? And
Completely.
I worry. I really do worry. And it is. I think it's a younger person thing.
I think
personally.
some parts of this industry they're out for themselves. Yeah, like I said, it's a. I love performing. I love singing, but at the same time, I find it so hard to just be yourself, because everyone has an opinion. We'll get back to the opinion word. Do
you know, Ros, I'm thinking of all the years I've known you and from the chat that we've been having on this podcast, do you think part of your detriment is never ever have I seen you do that thing that some people can do, which is, you know, just smile and nod and go ahead. What you see is what you have always been, and it's why I adore you. What you see is what you get. If you've got a problem, you say, what's the problem?
I can't be fake.
No,
I can't be fake. I don't see the point of pretending to be something that I'm not. I'd rather, if we have an issue, let's address it now.
Yeah.
And once again, social media has stopped us from actually talking to each other and sorting out a situation. Now we voice it on the book of face, as I call it, or Twitter. And then it escalates into something. Are you talking about me? No, I'm not talking about you. I'm just putting up something. And as I said, I wish people would talk more.
Yeah.
And face to face and not through text, because we all misunderstand things. It all comes down to our mood. Might have had a drink.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Might have just had a bad day, or first thing in the morning, or something's happened and we read a text or read a post or whatever, and we react to it in a way that we wouldn't normally do. But if we were face to face, we'd understand that person's frustration or them having a bad day or they're emotional. I'm highly emotional, and I've always been like that since a child. My dad had said to me, he was like, but you never said anything. I was like, but what do you want me to say? I kind of just got on with it. But you don't remember my reasons for standing at the door crying. You thought I was just crying because my dad's leaving. No, there's more to it. I don't want to be left alone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been hard in that respect. So I think that has played a part within my industry, within the industry, how I react to certain situations within jobs. And it could be an element of someone going, I'm going to take you out that number, and I might react and going, what, do you think I'm bad? Do you think I can't dance? And it has been that. And sometimes it has been a case of someone being that way creatively. Yeah. But yeah, as I said, it's been quite a hard thing for me to, I wouldn't even say adjust to. It's been a realization for me how to function correctly within this industry. Yeah. And like I said, a lot of things that have been addressed recently over the years with mental health, it's opened up. And to be honest, it's the first time I'm talking about my whole life. Yeah. Till this on this level. But I appreciate immensely that I have been able to let out my issues and my pain, and people go, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. You're not okay. Yeah. I've always not been okay. I have just gotten with it. But because I've just done that, people have not actually seen what issues are there. So when I do get upset, it's like, Rosie's upset again. It's like, what's she upset about? And I'm like, is it because of something petty? Yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm just having an emotional day or just a reaction to something. So like I said, I appreciate the mental health being addressed as widely as it is now within the industry.
Hi, this is John Barr, and you're listening to the Show People podcast with Andrew Keats.
So So, now usually, at this part of the show, we would have the Show People podcast platform, which we do, which is the part of the show where we like to give a voice to new musical theatre writing. As we've got Stigma coming up, I thought it would make sense that we have one of your songs in here. So tell us a little bit of context about the song that we're about to hear.
Only See You, which is the 4th number in the show, and it's the realisation that basically two of the lead parts, one's called Teddy and one called Miles, and Miles has gone. Miles and Teddy were both caught when they were younger, and Miles was sent to America, and Teddy was sent to conversion therapy. So 5 years down the line, obviously they meet again, and they sing a song called. Miles sings a song to him called "Hold Back." Obviously, at this point, Teddy is now with someone called Harper, who's married. But obviously, he meets Miles again and is like, "Oh my God, you're the one that I want to be with." So he sings a song called "I Only See You," and talks about the feeling going, "Now I only see you. I don't know what I'm going to do." Do you know what I mean? Like, electricity flows through my veins, and it flows every time. Do you know what I mean? That I look at you, and that's that feeling of love and euphoric feeling that you now found what you were looking for, but you're told it's wrong. So what are you supposed to do?
Now I only see you, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. 'Cause electricity flows through my veins, and it grows every time that I look at you. They say it's wrong, but how can it be when it feels so strong? 'Cause when you hold my hand, I euphorically understand. To finally feel, finally know who I am. But I don't want to break Harper's heart, and I don't want to tear her whole world apart, and I don't want to see the storm in her eyes, how she'll cry when she looks at me. But I can't go on living love like this. Now that I found something that feels like your sweet bliss, though scared of it all, I know you'll catch me if I fall. So take my hand, I wanna be your man. I only see you. Yeah, I only see you. I only see you. I only see you.
Hello, this is Frothy, and you can listen to me talk some nonsense about eating guinea pigs on the Show People podcast with the lovely Andrew Keats.
Ros, I have to say, I think I haven't had someone on the show that has been so honest and so vulnerable. And I'm really grateful. I'm really, really grateful to you for being so honest. And I really hope people listening to this particular episode know that, we are just people, and actually shit things happen to us. And I think you should be really proud of the work that you've done. And I'm also really glad to say, with all the shit you've been through, that actually over recent years, you've been one very, very busy human doing some fucking wonderful work.
Tried.
You obviously then got the opportunity to be in, let's call it, one of the most expensive, extravagant shows in the world. I remember when you told me, and I was like, what have you been up to? And you went, babe, I'm in Bat Out of Hell. Why haven't you come and seen it? I said, because it's Bat Out of Hell, Ros, but I'm glad you're having a great time.
It was, once again, another experience. And like I said, for me, going from The Life, then going into Bat Out of Hell, and the first two venues, to be honest, weren't great. But it weren't great for all of us. But I will say, we all stuck together as a team. If we needed to fight for something, that was the first time I knew unity within a cast, from big to small.
Yeah.
No, I won't say that's the first. I'll say the first one, to be honest, was probably Gone with the Wind. And Darius was a main point within that. Anything we needed to fight for, he was there. So there was no, as I said, no issues within the cast. But Daddy, I keep saying, why do I keep mentioning Daddy Cool?
Because it's your favourite show.
Daddy Cool, Daddy Cool. Bat Out of Hell was, as I said, an experience and a half. But I've met some great people, once again, at their job, and great experience.
And what was it like being in a show that was so rock concerty? Do you know what I mean? Like the production values were so huge, the singing was so epic, because it's obviously Meatloaf.
As I said, musically, our music, I still have the voice notes on my phone. And it's one of the most epic, zits probes that I've ever experienced. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Les Mis was one. And Les Mis 25th, do you know what I mean, anniversary concert was another. But Bat Out of Hell was something else.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I got an opportunity to be part of that experience. Whether I'll do it again, that makes it, do you know what I mean? Who knows? But it was an interesting job for me, once again. All these jobs, we all live and learn lessons. There's always a positive out of a negative.
Yeah.
Wherever you feel like you're in a negative situation or you're not feeling what you get, there is always a positive out of a negative situation. And within that job, I'm not a dancer, but I know I can dance.
Yeah.
It just takes me a little bit of time to pick things up. Doing Bat Out of Hell. And I was like, okay, cool. And I don't know what I made myself to look like in the audition, but apparently I could dance. So I was getting put in all these numbers, and then it was like, I could do the routine, but I couldn't pick it up as fast as the dancers. So because of that, and Emma, who the choreographer, and amazing choreographer, but she was not used to teaching people.
Actors who move. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it got to a point where I remember seeing this list on the board and it was like, oh, okay, we're just seeing what numbers we're in. It was like the first 3 days. And then slowly we got to the fourth day and it was like, okay, we're not in this number. Do you know what I mean?
You were so delighted.
Basically, it was like the oldies, and we weren't that old. Do you know what I mean? I'm 37. So we were all like, do you know what I mean, 35 or 34, 33 at the time. And we all kept getting cut out of numbers.
Yeah.
And it was really disheartening because we know we could do it, but we just weren't. The thing is, we weren't given an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I remember one cast member that I kind of had an opinion about, but not because they were a different type of character. And I said, I'll say this: what Bat Out of Hell taught me is we are all individuals.
Yeah.
And I learned tolerance.
You learned tolerance?
No, I learned tolerance on that. Do you know what I mean? And tolerating people on that job. And
but also you had a hard schedule as well. It was
we didn't stop.
And not only that, the amount of press events and the amount of public appearances you guys were doing amid a very high octane show. You must have been knackered, mate.
We were exhausted, but like I said, as a company, we all had each other's backs. That job, as I said, was an experience in itself. A great experience, a learning curve.
So many of your credits and so many of the jobs that you've done, your expertise as an artist in a brand new piece of work. There are two last jobs that I do want to ask you about. One I know you're extremely proud of, and indeed is a very unusual performing environment, and actually I think a really brave production which went down really well. So tell me about Little Shop of Horrors at Regent's Park.
So obviously I heard this was coming up when I was actually in Toronto doing Bat Out of Hell. So I was like, oh, I really want to do this. And to be honest, I remember, I think it was like 2-3 years ago, that an artist, or should I say actress within the industry, who was black, was upset that they hadn't been seen for Audrey. And I was like, yeah, but it's iconic, and that was me saying this, and that's what I'm going crazy. And then I thought to myself, so when this opportunity come up, I went, I'm going to do it for you. I want to get this for you. because my opinion, and that was me just going, oh, but not saying I understand why, but I was like, no, actually, that's completely wrong. Why am I actually having that opinion upon a role that actually is stereotypical because of who has previously played the part? But it doesn't have to be that way. And we've seen so many dramatic changes recently, which has been absolutely amazing.
Specifically Audrey that we're speaking about, Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors.
So yeah, I thought to myself, I want to, do you know what I mean? And I think the breakdown was for someone ethnic. So I was like, okay. But I was away. So at the time, my agent had put me up for the 3 girls and I couldn't get back. And I went, I want to be cover. And they were like, why do you not want to be the role? I went, because they're not going to give me the role.
Yeah.
I went, I want to be cover. I went, hands down, I will get covered, but they won't give me the role.
Yeah.
I went, okay. I went in, did 2, 3 auditions, and I got it.
No.
Got a cover. So I was like, now I just need to get on.
So you push her down the stairs.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, and then I found out who got the part, and I was like, it's Jemima Rupert. And
amazing.
I've had an obsession. Jemima, you are now finding this out.
Yeah.
No, she knows. And
she saw the shrine in your dressing room. Yeah.
But no, obviously I'd met Jemima from Sylvia's, and I'd absolutely loved her from a child. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As an actress, I thought she was wonderful. So for me, getting to understudy such a magnificent actress,
yeah,
I was like, yep, cool, grand. I'm happy. Do you know what I mean? And people couldn't go, you should be playing the role. And I was like, no, because I went, she's an actress,
yeah,
and I'm a singer, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm not an actress, but I'm not that kind of actress. Mm-hmm. I can be, but I'm going to learn.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn every element from her.
I love that attitude.
And I learned so much. And I wouldn't have been able to give my Audrey what I did if it wasn't for watching that girl.
Hello, this is Francis Raphael. When I'm on my own, pretending he's beside me, I listen to the Show People podcast with Andrew Keats.
I'm going to exile you on tour in Whitley Bay. I want to know what you need to survive in your digs. Now, you will get a copy of any religious text that you want and the complete works of William Shakespeare. And I'm going to ask you what you need to survive, including album, film, TV box set, game, book, play, musical, and luxury item. What would be the album that you would need to survive?
Ooh, India RE Worthy.
And what would be the film?
Favourite film?
Oliver.
The Green Mile.
Green Mile is amazing. Don't put the bag on me. Oh, no, made me cry.
Right.
It's not just,
The Green Mile.
TV box set.
This one's a hard one. I don't really watch TV anymore.
Are you sure it wouldn't be an episode of The Bill where you played Serena Richards?
No. Although I did love The Bill.
Or Millie in Disney Club for ITV.
Diagnosis Murder.
Brilliant choice. Because then also what I love about Diagnosis Murder is there's so many. I mean, obviously Dick Van Dyke is in it.
It don't matter how many times you watch it.
But do you know how many great old musical theatre movie stars that just crop up? There's an episode where Helen Reddy crops up, and real Disney geeks will know Helen Reddy was the female lead in Pete's Dragon, which was one of the other Disney live actions. So there's a moment we've got Helen Reddy and Dick Van Dyke of Mary Poppins working together. Oh, it's the campus thing. What would be the game? Now, you can have a console game or you can have a board game. What would be the game that you would take? And if it is a board game, you do get to play it with your Batty landlady.
My Batty, okay. It'd have to be Pictionary, innit?
Pictionary? Yes. Okay, and what would be the book?
The Scholar.
What's The Scholar? Who's that by?
By Courtier Newland.
I don't know. What's it about?
So I was given, I don't read books a lot, but when I get given a book to read, I will probably read it in 3 days. And if I enjoyed it, I'll read it very quickly. And I auditioned for, they were doing, they were going to do a TV film version. Mm. And I think it was at the time of adulthood. And yeah, so I got given that to read, and I kind of just got absolutely obsessed. And it's about 2 teenage boys in the 90s in West London. I think that would be Northwest London, and just that general lifestyle at that age. And one being a scholar. Do you know what I mean? And basically the usual, the lives cross paths. Do you know what I mean? The scholar obviously gets involved in drugs and girlfriend and pregnant, and it's for anyone of that generation to read that book, it takes you back there. And I remember a certain line it talking about cherry brandy lollies. Do you know what I mean? From the ice cream man, I kind of go, and that's always been a pinnacle, because I love cherry brandy lollies. But yeah, and I remember that being a pinnacle thing, and that's always stuck in my head, and it takes you back, and anything that will take me back to a time.
Yeah, nostalgia.
Completely.
And what about what would be the play? What play would you need to survive?
Oh God, why can I not remember the title of this? I saw it at Trafalgar Studios as well.
Was it As Is?
No, sorry. It began with an O.
Right, this is going to be a really long section.
No, it's not. And it's a Greek.
The Oresteia?
Yes.
Was it the Oresteia? Ted Hughes' Oresteia? God, that was quick.
Yes.
Okay, what will be the musical? This is going to be even harder for you.
Oh my God. No, Oliver.
Oliver.
My dream, Cameron, is to play Nancy in the film. Just letting you know.
Well, you know, you've revisited roles before. There's nothing to say.
No, that's I think that's what my love for musical theatre came from. And yeah, my dream is I would love to be Nancy.
And lastly, what luxury item would you need? What luxury item would you need to survive? Legal options only.
Luxury? Oh my God. Luxury.
You can't have like a plane to take you away or anything. It's something.
I wouldn't say not to say I'd want a mobile phone, but I'd want something of a recording device.
Nice.
To lay down songs. That's what I think that I'd want.
So we would give you the Show People podcast Zoom H6 recorder that I have, and then you could record everything you needed.
Basically, yeah, I'd be absolutely.
It's yours. I'll pop it in the post.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Listeners,
it.
if you don't hear from us for quite a while, it's because Ross James is in Whitley Bay singing into the recorder.
This is West End producer, and you're listening to the Show People podcast with the sumptuous, the savoury, and the slightly sugary Andrew Keats. Dear.
Well, it is time for everyone's favourite part of the show, Funny 5 Minutes. Rosalind James, you must answer all the questions I'm about to ask you as quickly as possible within 5 minutes. You are only allowed 3 passes, but remember to use them wisely, as during this time I'm going to ask you some of the most obscure, random and frankly outrageous questions you may ever have been asked before. Rosalind James, let's play Funny 5 Minutes. Rosalind James, what is your favourite takeaway?
Jerk chicken.
Jerk chicken. Who is your favourite person on Twitter?
Keith Ramsey.
Keith? Oh, it should have been me and you know it. What is your favourite season?
Summer.
Why summer?
Because I hate the cold.
I hate the cold too. It's miserable. We all hate it. Looking out this window, it's still very, very early and it's dark. What is your greatest fear?
Pass.
We've got a pass. What do you wear when you go to bed?
Pyjamas.
Pyjamas. Very nice. What is your favourite television show right now?
I don't watch TV.
Are you going to give me an answer?
Oh my God. I don't know.
Is it a second pass so early?
No, it's not. It's not. Why can't I think of it? What's not NCIS.
I mean, that's a lie, but I'm at least it's on a pass.
No, Law and Order, that's what I meant.
Law and Order, it's exactly the same thing.
That's what I mean.
Said no one. Star Trek or Star Wars?
Wars.
Star Wars. I might give you one of these. Where is it? She's heard that before. Rosalind James, have you ever pissed yourself on stage?
No.
No, good. Some people have. It's amazing when they tell me.
Someone's yeah.
Some people are famous for it.
Yeah.
All those pissy sopranos. If you were to order a pizza, what would your order be?
Double pepperoni.
Double pepperoni, dear. What is the most unusual thing you've ever had put in your mouth?
Your nose.
Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
Repeat that again.
Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
One horse-sized duck.
And why is this? That's one heck of a large duck.
Too many.
Too many.
Too many little ones. No. Just the one, babes.
Do you believe in aliens?
Yes.
Have you ever seen a UFO?
No.
No. Well, why do you believe in aliens then?
Because I believe that anything's possible, babes.
Anything can happen if you let it, to quote the great Mary Poppins. Who would play you in a movie version of your life?
Halle Berry, even though she's too tall.
And too old, love. Do you have a favourite sport?
Is ice skating.
Is it ice skating? What podcasts are you listening to at the moment?
Andrew Cates.
Andrew, it's not called the Show People Podcast. It's just called Andrew Cates.
You asked me about, babe, I'm the worst person for asking titles. It's Andrew Cates. Andrew Cates.
Andrew Cates.
Because he pointed at himself.
I didn't point at myself. Listen, she's lying. Who was your teenage crush?
Oh, jeez.
Was it Jesus? Was Jesus your favourite?
Yeah, it was Jesus. Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, you 90s moron. Are you an early riser or a night owl?
Oh, a night owl all the way, babes.
I know this. I've gone home with you too many times at 3 o'clock in the morning. How do you like your eggs in the morning?
Scrambled.
Scrambled. Or in your case, fertilised.
Thanks, love. I used to work in a cafe, and I used to call next year all the women were basically were pregnant. So I used to say the eggs.
How do you like your eggs in the morning?
The eggs have gotten pregnant, babes.
What was your favourite thing to do when you were a teenager?
I like to do graphic design.
Graphic design?
Yeah. Randomly. It's random ones, babe.
What is your favourite Disney film?
Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid. Well, very good. Only 2 passes. You had 1 pass left, so very, very good. I might save that for when I'm next out having drinks with you, and then I'll try and get away with more outrageous questions.
That's fine. Don't worry. I look forward to it.
Oh! But sadly, that noise tells me that is the end of the show.
Oh my God.
Everybody...
No.
Please remember, do book your tickets. All the details to book links for Stigma will be in the show notes. And I hope my Christmas act hack helps you out. But ladies and gentlemen, please go mad for the one, the only, Miss Rosalind James! Thank you for coming on the show, Ros.
Thank you for having me, my darling.
Always a pleasure, never a chore. Ros, how can people keep up to date with all that you are up to?
Well, you can find me on Twitter as RJ Songbird, and on Instagram as Rosalind James 7, on Facebook as Rosalind James, and also Miss Rosalind James. And obviously for my show, musical showcase, it's a Stop the Stigma show. And tickets you can get from Eventbrite.
All those details will be in the show notes. Do check them out. And also, I've included some websites in case you've been affected by any of the issues raised in today's episode. Don't forget, you can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Keats. Follow the show at Show People UK and at Show People Podcast on Instagram, and at Mr. Andrew Keats on Instagram, where you can see lots of pictures of me and Toby Page, the Show People Podcast. You can send me an email to info@arian-productions.com, and don't forget to like our page at facebook.com/Show People Podcast, where you can join the listeners forum and talk with other listeners to the show. This podcast is produced by Arian Productions Limited, dedicated to giving opportunities to theatre makers. If you enjoyed the show, please take just 2 minutes to leave us a little review on iTunes and help us to continue to produce this free fortnightly podcast. Also, Christmas is coming. Make sure you get your jazz hands on a Show People Podcast mug. Sadly, we're not doing a Black Friday sale because they're still worth every penny. Go on, treat someone. Finally, also consider making a donation to Arian Productions and the Show People Podcast to help us create more opportunities for theatre makers. You can do that at arian-productions.com/donate. Please subscribe, leave us a review, and support the show in any way you can. And until next time, Show People, just be better. So what I want to talk about is I don't know. I want to talk about. I've drunk too much fucking gin. Right, let's start that again. And rewind.
It's only see me, sung by me.
Okay, well, in that case, ladies and gentlemen, here is... What is it again?
Only see you.
Only see you. 1 sec.
Bye, y'all.
Ros, how can people keep up to date with all that you are up to?
You can keep up to date, on my Twitter, which is Rosalind James, and my Instagram, which is Rosalind James 7.
Is it not RJ Songbird still?
No.
I follow you on RJ Songbird.
On what? On Twitter?
Yes.
Really?
I don't think your name on Twitter is Rosalind James.
See? Do you know? Okay, I'm not going to explain this now. I didn't set up my Twitter. Someone else did. Basically have someone else setting up all my social media because I don't have a clue.
I'm going to check what your Twitter is so you actually know what it bloody is, so then you can say...
It might be RJ Songbird. I know that Instagram is Rosalind James 7. And then obviously...
And your Twitter is RJ... I'm going to start this all again. Listeners, if you want to follow Roz on Twitter, don't bother because she doesn't use it. Right, let's do that again.